Hello, everyone, and welcome into Bet the Edge. Thanks everyone watching on our NBC Sports YouTube channel, the Whale Capper and V-Money Sports. We're in the building because it's a Thursday, and today we got college basketball on tap. We're talking a little bit about Arizona versus Purdue, Final Four contenders, national champ favorites. Of course, bowl season's here as well, so we got 4 games on Saturday cover for your college football if you need some help, and Thursday night football on tap, Chargers and Raiders. Drew, I need your help, my guy, because I've been the most confident individual in the NFL up until week 15. I have did everything possible to stay alive in a survivor pool. 10,000 people. It's down to 78. Your boy's still alive.
Oh,
Winner
yeah.
take all. Winner take all. Question to you. These
Yeah.
are the 3 teams I circled this week. Bengals to beat the Vikings. Seems too easy. Browns to beat the Bears. Man, the Bears are hot now, so I don't know. And Rams to beat the Commanders. Rams did look great last week against the Ravens. But all 3 of those don't seem safe for me when I'm trying to win almost $10,000 in a winner-take-all.
Oh, boy. This is tough.
And
I bet the Bengals this week, but it's definitely a fragile game, right? Like
Yeah.
if the pass rush gets home for the Vikings, then that's trouble. Also, you have Justin Jefferson, who's now going to play. So there's more firepower for the Vikings. So I'm going to put a line through that one. I like the under in Bears Browns, but that makes that a more high variance game. You got an offensive line cluster injury now for the Browns. You got a couple of secondary players out for the Browns. Like Browns all of a sudden are super hurt, but I don't trust the Bears more than I can throw them. Their defense is good though. So that one I'm going to put a line through that. I guess it's got to be the Rams. I mean, there's future value with the Rams. They got winnable games next couple weeks. But the Commanders off a bye, traveling across the country, a little bit of vacation vibes about that one. Not exactly sure you get an A+ effort out of the commies. All that said, though, the Rams had some kind of quietly not top line guys get hurt, but a couple guys that did kind of missing some practice that have me a little nervous. But I guess I would go Rams between those 3, but I would give Browns a sincere look if you think you're going to have to save the Rams for another week.
Yeah, well, definitely not going to save the Rams for another week. I actually have my other weeks all figured out already.
Okay.
Eagles money line on Christmas against the Giants, winner. I haven't used the Eagles yet. Jaguars money line against the Panthers on New Year's Eve, golden. Haven't used the Jaguars yet. And I still have the Bills and the Packers. I'm good. I just need to find one for this week, Drew. But yeah, thank you for your help. Definitely feel better about the Rams than the other 2. So glad you're in agreement there.
Just for just to clear the air here, just in case something goes sideways.
Yeah,
I've never won a Survivor in my life, and I've never even made it especially deep.
I've never won either,
much, but I'm definitely not very good at it.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I did about 15 of them, and this is the one that's looks like the golden ticket for me to Willy Wonka's factory. So
nice.
And I had the Panthers the week that they won, Drew, so I deserve to win this.
Oh, wow.
All right.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I do. So let's talk a little college basketball here because we got a big game on Saturday. I'm excited to be watching Arizona versus Purdue. This game is on Peacock Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Number 1, Arizona, and number 3, Purdue. The Wildcats are undefeated and have 3 top 25 wins so far, Drew. Purdue, very great team as well. Of course, they got Zach Edey, Naismith Player of the Year last year. I like Arizona here because right now the projected line is Purdue -3. The game is in Indiana at the Pacers Arena, so it's considered neutral, but it's really, home court for Purdue.
Sure.
So there's a lot of people going to be lining up on Purdue here, especially the Handers in the first loss. Are you one of them?
No. I'm out on Purdue. I can't tell you much about college basketball because I've watched 0 minutes of it so far this season. I do know Purdue won the Maui Invitational, which was held this year in Oahu, of course. But that's impressive. Zach Edey being reigning National Player of the Year and coming back the experience matters. But Purdue has the kiss. Well, I don't want to say the kiss of death, but they kind of have the stench of upset. Not just because they lost as a 16 seed last year, but the same problem, which is when they are dealing with adversity, they cannot force turnovers. I don't understand what is going on with this team that they are so deficient, but they are, believe it or not, 334th in the country, Vaughn, in turnover percentage. And this is pace adjusted, of course. That is bad. If you are in the bottom quartile, you are an upset candidate any given week. If Arizona comes out and is shooting lights out and you need to get back into the game with some extra free possessions, it ain't happening. So there is a long tail to, Arizona winning by margin, and actually just kind of the statistical profile of Arizona. Looks an awful lot like in Connecticut last year, man. Like this team has all of the right pieces in all the right places. The Pac-12 is not especially strong, so the likelihood of Arizona coming through with the 1 seed and getting a favorable draw is high. They are 8-0 so far in the season. Purdue, just the 1 loss against Northwestern on the road in conference. You can kind of forgive that. But Arizona runs a relatively fast pace, and they are excellent at making threes. They are an outstanding rebounding team. I mean, they have everything positive you want going for you as you look across the statistical pace-adjusted categories. So I'm with you with the Wildcats here. A win here is going to go a long way to getting them a 1 seed and potentially a deep tournament run. So I'll ride with Wildcat money line here if we get a price in the +3 range on the spread.
Yeah, that's what it's projected by Ken Parham and Bart Torvik right now. In Arizona, I mean, they've improved. They got Caleb Love from North Carolina at guard, and he's been awesome. He had 20 points against Wisconsin. Of course, they got guys like Pell Larson, Kylan Boslin. Omar Bala has been awesome too. He's a big guy, 7-footer, 260 senior. But honestly, one of the most impressive teams this year to me has been the Wisconsin Badgers, and Arizona went out and trashed them 98-73. Wisconsin brought back so many players from last year, and that's why they were expected to be better, expected to be deeper. They're starting 5 in like 7-man rotation, and Arizona said, I raise you 5-man, 7-man rotation, and showed you our hand. And the Wildcats, I think, are the best team in the country. I think that UConn comparisons, pretty acceptable, honestly. And I don't hold Purdue's loss to Northwestern too highly, because Purdue's lost them 2 straight years and either won or lost by 5 or less points for 4 straight years at Northwestern. So it's kind of a kryptonite for them. Talking about the national title odds, though, because both these teams right now, Drew, are the favorites to win the national championship. We got Kansas and UConn, Marquette rounding out the top 5. I really think, Arizona at 10-1 isn't a bad bet. I don't think Connecticut at 14-1, Marquette at 14-1 are bad bets. I kind of go down this list a little bit longer and say my favorite value would be the Creighton Blue Jays at 20-1. I think they have a top 5 offense here. Not going to be quite Arizona, Purdue, or UConn, but I think Creighton could reach that level. And the Big East is being really slept on, as usual, but they have a lot of great teams at the top. So what's your opinion here? Who would you be willing to throw a dart on?
So I get why Arizona and Purdue are 1 and 2 right now at 10-1. Like, that makes sense to me. Those are your Big 12, your Pac-12 and your Big 10 champions right there. Bang, bang. I think the Big 12 champion this year is probably gonna be Houston. 16-1 is an interesting play for them. They're going to get a lot more credit from the committee this year, moving over to the Big 12. And I think you look at specifically Houston's defense, that was their calling card last year. It's gotten better.
Yeah, I was going to say
it's even better than it was, which is crazy. Like they are absolutely shut down, lockdown defense, extremely good at turning you over, unbelievable rebounding team. They still don't, they're a little bit, I don't know what the right word is, but they're loosey-goosey with fouls. Like if they're getting an unfriendly whistle, it could be a little bit of a sweat come tourney time. But Houston to me looks like a true blue contender. So I still think Arizona is probably the bet. But if you're going to make me choose a second, it would be Houston. And I don't think it's crazy if they end up on opposite sides of the draw if it's Arizona-Houston for the title. The big kind of teams to stay away for me, Purdue, as mentioned, because of the turnover issue. I worry a little bit about Creighton. I know you make a good case, and the effective shooting and free throw defense, all that is pretty unreal. But very dependent on threes and not very good at turning the ball over. Kansas not very good at turning the ball over. Now, a lot of these things can be fixed by the time we get to the end of the season, so we'll see if it's these are still real deal problems. But UConn's playing a lot slower this year. Their 3-point defense is weak, and I know that's a little bit luck, associated with luck. But I would be fine with Houston or Arizona in terms of futures right now.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. Houston is a team that I've been, very impressed with. While they haven't played as many impressive teams as the other squads we've mentioned, you could clearly see the defense is up another notch again. And they got a couple guys that came in too that are very impressive in the transfer portal. But one thing I found funny about Creighton, Drew, they do actually force the second fewest turnovers the entire country, which we both know will not work out in tournament time. So they got to fix that. They have a lot of time to do that, but they're shooting 42 or 40% from three, and 43% of their points come from three, which is the most in the country. And they allow 69.7% of their opponents' points to come from two, which is the most in the country. So this team is literally still needs to find themselves out because they're really good at some things and bad at others. And there's a couple college football teams that are like that we're going to talk about here in a second. Because they're not going to be highly touted teams we're talking. But all the teams we talk about here, we're also going to talk about on Friday because, as a reminder, Brad Thomas, Eric Froton, and myself are answering all your college football betting questions for bowl season. We'll discuss which games we have circled, handicap the college football playoffs, as well as get you ready for 7 matchups on Saturday. So come check us out on NBC Sports YouTube channel this Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And 4 of those 7 games we're going to be handicapping are going on right here, Drew. Starting with the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Georgia Southern is taking on Ohio. Georgia Southern is laying 3.5 points as the favorite. Looks like this should be trending towards a 4 here pretty soon. Over under at 49.5. There's seasons where all these guys, we got a lot of guys in the transfer portal. Ohio's down their quarterback. Georgia Southern has theirs. Kind of lean Southern here for a few reasons, but what do you think?
Yeah, so beautiful Myrtle Beach in December. That's sarcastic. Although I am headed to that area actually to visit my folks for Christmas, so I'll be down in the area. But no, Myrtle Beach, home of course, the great Vanna White of Wheel of Fortune, the birthplace of Sports Illustrated. Not a lot of other things. Oh, Hooters, capital of the world. I don't know any other. I don't know any other trivia about Myrtle Beach, but this particular market opened up Ohio as a favorite, -2.5. Actually got initial money towards Ohio, pushed it to 3. Since then, it has been one-way traffic, and I think you nailed the key reason why, which was the absence of the Ohio quarterback. All in one day, believe it or not. You could have gotten +3 on you could have gotten +3 on Georgia and and +4 on Ohio. So somebody is sitting on an absolute golden middle here, hoping this lands inside of the 3. I don't know that there's going to be a ton of momentum here that pushes this any higher. If you're reading the market and you think this goes to 4, I'll listen to you because I'm not 100% sure one way or the other. But the way it sits now, 3.5 looks fair. I'm going to probably be skipping this one for bowl pick purposes. I would pick Georgia Southern here. I think there are some dogs to be had this week, but Ohio doesn't look like one of them to me.
Yeah, I think, the first day of bowl season, it's definitely hard to gauge because a lot of these teams aren't bigger name teams. Now we're seeing a lot of transfer portal and injury news, but for Ohio, it's not just the quarterback too. The receiver and both their starting running backs are out. And for Georgia Southern, they're only missing a starting cornerback. So they are definitely a lot better. And historically speaking, we do like the MAC around here at NBC. But in bowl season, they are a fade. Historically, they do not perform well against the spread here. So I'm definitely looking at Georgia Southern. Ohio State also has not Ohio State. Ohio Bobcats have the second worst rated special teams in the country, which could definitely be a problem in bowl season, especially when you don't have your quarterback. But I will note Georgia Southern's quarterback, Drew, 29 turnover-worthy plays on the season, one of the highest in all of college football. Sounds like an NFL backup quarterback. But, I like Georgia Southern here. I don't like the fact it's 3.5 and not the 3. But if you're forcing it and you got to pull, I definitely do taking a shot on the Eagles of Georgia Southern. Let's talk about the RL Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Jacksonville State, -3 favorites, taking on Louisiana. Over-unders 59.5. This one's actually been bet up from 56.5 to 57.5 up to 59.5 now. Again, I kind of like the favorite here, Jacksonville State. They are ranked first in tempo on offense, so no surprise you see this. 13th success rate on defense as well. And Louisiana had to win their final game to get bowl eligible. But, Drew, do you know who the head coach of Jacksonville State is? It's a guy. It's been around for a long, long time. You're muted.
I remember it used to be Prime, right?
Yeah.
Who is it now?
It's Rich Rodriguez.
Really? Rich Rod is in Jacksonville State?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't know that.
And he's 2-9 against the spread in his career in bowl games. 5-6 on the money line. He was with West Virginia, Michigan, Arizona. Not quite Jacksonville State versus Louisiana level, right? But I think there's going to be an edge here. Even though Louisiana is technically a home team with a game in New Orleans, they're still underdogs. I do like Jacksonville State here.
Incredible. I'm not gonna disagree with you at all. Jacksonville State has quietly been a hot team in the market all year long. They were classic like midweek game, right? Like Wednesday, Tuesdays, they were playing a lot. And I feel like I saw them get bet every single week, and I was like, wow, somebody really has a lot of respect for Jacksonville State. This is a fine market to kind of break down. By the way, if you didn't already know, R&L Carriers, it's the trucking company based out of Wilmington, Ohio, named, of course, for the brothers that founded it, Ralph L. Roberts and Ronald L. Roberts, two R.L. Robertses. And why they decided to sponsor the New Orleans Bowl is anyone's guess. New Orleans, though, is just an absolute hell of a time. So I'm sure this is going to be a fun one. And the fact that you got a couple of fun teams definitely makes this one interesting. Total of 59.5, one of the more exciting, high-flying scoring games of the early part of the bowl season. And I would expect that Jacksonville State can score some points here. If you're going to make me make one play on this game, it's going to be Jacksonville State's team total over. I think ultimately they're the side, but there's probably more to this handicap than I could ever get to, because I don't really have a good read on either of these teams are, and you could probably tell that because I didn't even know Rich Rodriguez was their coach.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you this. I haven't trusted Louisiana much this year. There's a few times that I've either considered bet them, or I bet them publicly twice. And I just did not like the effort I've seen from this Louisiana team. And like I said, they had to win their last game to be bowl eligible for Jacksonville State. This is a much bigger game, in my opinion. And it's very easy for their fan base to travel, Drew, too, because Jacksonville's not too far from New Orleans in general for these people to come. So, I do think this game is going to be absolutely exciting, to be honest with you. It might be the best game that we see on Saturday, especially if Jacksonville State's offense is playing at the tempo that they're capable of.
Yep.
There's going to be another really good game, though, between New Mexico State and Fresno State. There's led a New Mexico Bowl. Quarterback Diego Pavilla is supposed to be in for Mexico State. They're 10-1 against the spread in the last 11 games. New Mexico State is 10-4 on the season, Drew, with a chance at 11 wins. We started this year off on this exact show with New Mexico State versus UMass. And I said, take UMass plus the 7 and the money line. And they beat New Mexico State. And now this team is in a bowl game favored by 3.5. What do you like?
Yeah, so New Mexico State are past here.
Yes.
This quarterback, man, this dude is a Marine. I have no idea how he is getting up for these games week in, week out. Guy seems to be perpetually injured, but fights through it. Ton of respect for him. And ton of respect for the state of New Mexico, by the way. It's of course, the 47th state in the Union, admitted in 1912. Honestly, truly an underrated state when it comes to natural beauty. People think of like the national park states in the West and the Grand Canyon and stuff, but New Mexico has some pretty outstanding, some cities and some skiing at Taos even. But this particular bowl is being held in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is lower elevation. And the fact that New Mexico State is in this bowl is a little bit of home cooking off it, if we're being honest. Fresno State is a team that I thought was on the come up last year. And so far this season, the results were just not anywhere close to what was expected. I've kind of lost a little bit of faith that they're going to be able to get up for this particular game in the light of the availability of New Mexico State's quarterback. Market moves have been pretty quiet in this one. Haven't seen any bets on the total, not one. This thing opened 51.5. It's 51.5. That's kind of wild. Usually there's a little bit of uncertainty about the totals with some of the moving pieces, but everybody has decided that is totally fair. And then people have been kind of jockeying around the juice at the 3.5 price point here. I think people were hoping it was going to drop to 3, and there were some rumors that quarterback wasn't going to be available. Ultimately, this is, I think, a fair price at 3.5, and I'll take some New Mexico State in contests, but ultimately, no significant stakes for me in the Isleta New Mexico Bowl.
Yeah, and I'll pivot back and say I was a huge supporter of Fresno State last year as well, but they lost 3 straight to end the season. Hard to get up off of that, and they're also facing, or I should mention that their head coach, Jeff Tadford, stepped away from the team for the bowl game too, for health reasons. So, yeah, that's not a good situation for a team that's performed really well in bowl games with him. And also Fresno State passes the ball 60% of the time. Mexico State has a pretty good pass defense. So, yeah, all that bodes well, the elevation as well, being in their home state, all points towards the Aggies. But let's head out towards your direction. You're giving us a history lesson, but you always give us a history lesson on Los Angeles and California, Drew. It's the Starco brand, LA Bowl, hosted by Gronk. That's right, the Robert Gronkowski. And UCLA was a 2.5-point favorite. Now they're a 4-point favorite, probably because Gronk said go ahead and bet them. Totals at 48.5, games in Inglewood. What do you like here? You're shocked Gronk's hosting a bowl?
I don't know which I'm more surprised at, that Gronk is hosting this bowl or that Boise State is 4-point dogs. There must be something I missed in the handicap for Boise State here, because I thought this was clearly Broncos' right side, maybe even wrong team favored. UCLA is dealing with injuries at the safety position, at the cornerback position. Honestly, there's a huge question if the defense is going to be anywhere close to the unit we were handicapping this regular season. Now, the UCLA defense over the balance of the regular season was just flat out awesome. In the absence of key players, though, in the secondary, I think Boise State can take advantage, can sustain drives, and if they're getting anything going on the ground in this game, then it's going to be good night. So Boise State, I think, would be the look here. And the only other thing I have for you on the Starco brand LA Bowl hosted by Gronk is do you know what Starco is, by the way? Starco, well known for their air-powered aerosols as a lot of their fuel, a lot of their brands. They have the alcoholic whip shots, if you've ever seen those, partnered with Cardi B to bring in whip shots to the table. And the most highly featured of the Starco brands is, of course, the Winona Pure, which is movie theater popcorn taste that you can spray on your popcorn at home to bring the movie theater with you at home. So not a buyer of Starco brands, if we're being honest. I don't exactly understand how they have enough money to sponsor a bowl. Probably some sort of Ponzi scheme going on here, but we'll set that aside and we'll just get some Boise State in our pocket. 4 points sounds pretty good to me here with this matchup, considering the deficiencies with the UCLA defense. And honestly, just trying to scratch my head about the future of the UCLA program. Everybody knows they're headed to the Big Ten next year, and I don't really know if not seeing a lot of positive signs in the transfer portal that this is going to be a competitive program moving forward. So it's kind of feels like a sunsetting on UCLA to a degree, and the fact that they had this 1 year with this amazing defense may be more of a blip than a trend.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with you. I think the one thing that's going to keep me off of this game until I have better news is Carson Steele, the running back for UCLA. He's probably the biggest name, I think, in this game, arguably. And he hasn't been seen at practice or during media interviews the past 2 days. And he said, based off what the trainer tells me to do, is what I'm going to do later in the week. But he hasn't practiced, so it doesn't seem like he wants to go. So Boise State plus the 4 might not be terrible, Drew. But I still can't stop thinking about the spray on popcorn taste. It's like, I can't believe it's not butter. I'll raise you one. And it's
I can spray you some butter. Who knows how these brands end up in bowl sponsorships, but this is a wild one. I do see home cooking for New Mexico State and Albuquerque. I do not see it for UCLA and LA.
Yeah, I'm a total agreement with you there. I'm glad we see it the same way here. And now I know what to get my girlfriend for Christmas, some spray on popcorn. All right. This holiday season, get the fantasy fan in your life, the exclusive Roto Draft Guide bundle featuring expert and analytics, player insights, and season-long tools. Get all three of our draft guides for one low price. You guys can go to NBCSports.com/holiday bundle and use code HOLIDAY23 at checkout to receive 25% off and a $10 Fanatics gift card. All right, gonna be excited about this Thursday night game, Chargers at Raiders. Um, Raiders 3-point favorites, but Justin Herbert out, Drew.
Yeah.
Um, this is a tough game now. Over-under sitting at 34. I kind of like the under.
I can't stop anyone from playing an under here. You have two underrated defenses. Whoever would have thought we would say this out loud on the air, by the way. There were times this year where the Chargers, I would have been like, man, are they the 31st or the 32nd best defense? That game where they gave up like every single fourth down attempt to the Lions, I was like, okay, I'm officially done with you. I'm never counting on you again. And really, since that point, that was their absolute pico bottom. They've been, playing better week in, week out. And while it hasn't translated to winning games because the offense has been a joke, they are at least not like a absolute true blue bottom, move on them at will. The Raiders similarly have a reputation as being relatively weak. They don't have a ton of name brand star power on that defense outside of Max Crosby, but their EPA per play that they've put up so far this season, particularly since they fired McDaniels and hired Antonio Pierce, been very good. This is playing at a top 10 level. So you have two good defenses and you have two huge question marks at quarterback. I think we can stop there. This is probably staying under the total. I think Easton Stick is probably capable of hitting some shots downfield. If you really want to twist my arm for a side, and I guess I'm taking the Chargers here just because there's a potential that he has some deep shots to Josh Palmer, who's going to be back. There's some potential. Maybe Quentin Johnson catches a ball of it today, Vaughn. That's possible. But on the other side of the ball, you obviously have the most dynamic weapon in the game in Devontae Adams, but it sounds like this is either AOC's final chance to save his job, or they may pull the old switcheroony, in which case it's going to be Jimmy G or Brian Hoyer, apparently. And if you are scratching your head as to why would they float Brian Hoyer, if they're done with AOC, they would just go back to Jimmy G, right? Well, if you play Jimmy G, you could instantly get him injured to the tune of having to pay him another $12 million, which is meaningful to the bottom line of the Raiders. And so there is a very real possibility that it is Hoyer time, baby. And what does not scare me holding an under or holding a Chargers bet is Hoyer time. So I think this is probably Chargers or pass, and I think it is under or pass. But honestly, if you're dying to bet Thursday Night Football this week, there's so much other football. There's no more buys, guys. There's 3 standalone games on Saturday. I think you can take a deep breath and wait for some sharper angles to hit this weekend. What say you?
Yeah, I definitely think the Saturday games are probably all better betting games than Chargers Raiders. But I'm really happy that you said it's more of a Chargers spot than a Raiders spot because, again, in my survivor pool, everyone's gonna line up and take the Raiders on Thursday, thinking they got an easy one now. Yeah, I'm hoping to see at least 25% of the pool Sunday morning took the Raiders. So that's a team that I wasn't considering back in the spot. I think the dog is live here, so I would take the Chargers with the points if I was going to take a side. But I do think the under is the best bet here. I've been burned a few times lately. The last 3 bets of 37 or less, I've actually lost 3 of the last 4, and those were 9-1 to the under up until that point. So there's been some progression going back the other direction, but regression the other direction. But I think that the under 34 is clearly the best angle of attack here in this game, Drew. So it's my opinion.
Okay, well, honestly, Easton Stick, if you didn't already know, he is a North Dakota State Bison, and he got a big arm, but it's a little wild, a little sprayy. So this is there's a decent chance that the market may be a little underrating him just because they don't really know what to expect. That said, if you are watching this game and you are getting the sense that whoever the Raiders roll out there just doesn't have it like last week, then there may be a decent opportunity to get more Chargers at halftime, because one half of football is not going to convince people who are betting against Easton Stick that he's any good. So that's one of those where you can probably prey on it in game, even if you see some flashes of competence, I'll say.
Yeah, I definitely think you could see that. I mean, no one expected Jake Brown to look like what he did when he came in, but he was certainly impressive and looking like someone's going to be able to hold that ship steady down the stretch. So we'll be able to see what Easton Stick is made of. I mean, we've also seen Joe Flacco throw for 300 yards over the weekend, Drew. Zach Wilson throw for 300 and score 30 points in the second half after being shut out in the first half. So anything could happen for some of these quarterbacks, but yeah, I don't have much faith in either one here for this Thursday night football matchup. So best bet from the show. What do you like?
Ooh, we'll talk about, I'll say some futures in college basketball. I think grabbing Houston right now at 16-1 is the best bet before they get into Big 12 play, before they rise to the cream of that group, preying on a team that's that good at defense. Once we get to 20 time and they're a 1 seed and they're 4-1, I think you'll be happy having 16-1 in pocket. So let's go Cougs.
Let's go Cougs. Love that play. I'm going to say Jacksonville State will be my play, because that's what my gut's telling me. So I'm going to say Jacksonville State as my best play for the show. And as always, we appreciate everyone watching and listening live. Make sure you guys check us out, NBCSports.com, for all your help with wagers and fantasy, Amazon.com/NBC Sports for all your shows as well. From the Well Capper, from V-Money Sports, from Dan and Adam, our producers, thank you guys so much. Best of luck for Thursday night football and this weekend. And I'll see you Friday for the college football show. Don't miss out.